I was told that inshallah the sisters will be able to see the slides on their own TV. And we have one of the sisters who's the liaison with our side. So if any of the sisters have any questions or wanted to add any comment, then they are welcome to send it through the liaison sister. And then inshallah, this way we'll be able to have inshallah the interaction between the two sides. And it's meant to be not a one-way communication, but rather it's two-way. And what I'm presenting is something that is based on my own personal experience professionally as an imam as well as a psychotherapist, alhamdulillah. So I have been working as a psychotherapist for the past 28 years now, and I started doing my practice in psychotherapy after I left my work in the hospital for sick kids. And this is what I'm presenting to the community as kind of a feedback, more practical perspective into the family dynamic. And the reason why I'm doing this is I noticed that there is a big need to understand the psychosocial dimension of the relationship. Many of the clients who come to me because they either were not getting the right support when they go to the masjid, because simply speaking that not all imams are trained to be therapists. They're good into their fiqh perspective, into dealing with some of the family issues. And or at the same time, if they go to the mainstream psychotherapy, they would not get the right context of what needs to be dealt with in their life. And I'll try to make this inshallah as compact as possible, so we're able to somehow get the full picture before marriage and after marriage. And from that, inshallah, we will be defining the concept of marriage in Islam for us, and think outside the box per se on what are we trying to get out of this relationship. Is it a relationship that is traditional by the definition of the tradition? Are there any other things that we need to get out of it? And then we will talk more about choosing the right spouse. And this message will be primarily for the young people. And if they are not present with us today, this will be available inshallah to watch later on social media. But I encourage young people a lot to watch this, explore it, because I can see a pattern that most young people fall in as they are in the process of finding a spouse, whether it's a boy or a girl, and they seem to be falling to the same trap. Most of the time, young people come to the masjid, oh, my dad is against my marriage, and the only thing they have in their mind is the social background of the other side, or because of certain issues that are not relevant, and they come with the concept that they want to convince the imam to give them fatwa so they can go and marry on their own. That's what happens all the time. And when they come to me, I try to help them understand the multi-dimensions of this process and how they're able to take the decision in the right way. So we'll talk about also the possible avenues that are available for our singles, and especially in the context of living in North America, because it's not like being back home where things are completely different. And then after that, we'll talk about the relation itself, establishing the family, what's it like to be married, what are the challenges that normally are presented in this very dynamic relationship, and how to deal with it by exploring the gender differences, the personality differences, intercultural differences. And then eventually, we come to conclude this by, looking into more professional and more practical ways of dealing with the conflicts that could rise between the couple, which are expected because this is not our agenda. Our Jannah is what we will be inshallah seeing after we leave this dunya in the akhirah, after a long life full of ibadat and ta'at to Allah Azza wa Jalla. So if we were to ask this, what's the profound wisdom behind marriage? Why we get married? If we hear from the people in the present, you will hear different things. We get married because it's a cultural practice. We get married because we want to protect ourselves. We get married because it's a way to integrate our adulthood. And I have written once a paper about the role of marriage in the Muslim community into integrating the personality of teens, adolescents. And alhamdulillah, it was very interesting, professional scientific paper in which I have used many references into describing how marriage in our culture as Muslims would help adolescents to integrate safely into adulthood. Because if you look into the cultural practices we have in our culture, you will see that these cultural practices pave the road and help the adolescents to integrate safely. Now, this could be a little bit difficult here in the context of North American, culture, but in back home, that's very, very common. Many of our parents, our grandparents, get married early in their life. They were integrating into this, process safely. The expectations from both the male or the female, once they get married, will be completely different than their expectations before marriage. And you will see how the social expectations push them and help them to integrate safely, to become much more responsible adults. Now we find in North America, people in their 20s, even mid-20s and early 30s, and they're still irresponsible. They're not responsible enough. And this will be primarily coming from the fact that the society, the environment around us, does not facilitate the process of integration safely. This, the concept of go enjoy your life, you're still young, there's a lot you can do, have fun, why should you be respecting yourself and have responsibilities in your life? Well, our concept of marriage or living life is completely different than what's in the Western society. So there are also reasons why we get married. We want to establish an usra, a family. This is very clearly mentioned to us in the Quran. Allah says, وَأَنْكِحُوا الْأَيَامَ مِنكُمْ وَالصَّالِحِينَ مِنْ عِبَادِكُمْ وَإِمَائِكُمْ. Facilitate, pave the road, encourage. يا معشر الشباب من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج. Oh young people, whoever is able to get married because it's protective to you. It protects you from falling into the haram. It would help you to establish a family. It would provide the safe heaven for you to be able to live normal life. It is also a source of second, because Allah said that to us in the Quran, وَمِنْ آيَاتٍ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. And this would have been the first and the most important outcome of this practice in our life. As Muslims, the main outcome, and this is what I say to my clients when they come to me, and this is what I would say always in my public speakings. And I just came from nikah service, and the first thing I said to the couple, what's the main outcome of this relationship? I know this, the hormones, the emotions are playing a big role into the connection, but the main outcome is clearly mentioned in the Quran, li taskunu ilayha. So you'll be able to have second. So what does second mean? Second means peace, ease, comfort, tranquility. And in Arabic language, by the way, we call accommodation second. Why? Because at the end of hard working day, I go to my accommodation, to my home, to relax and recharge. So I'll be able to get up in the following day with full energy and full charge to continue contributing to the society I'm living in. So the relationship between the two sides is also a source of second, comfort. But now the concept of comfort would not be possibly integrated unless the two sides are able to understand the psychosocial dimension of the relationship, understanding the psychology of the other side, understanding the context of how to deal and deal with issues that arises in the family. also marriage for us is ibadah, ritual, because Allah Azza wa Jal speaks about marriage in Surah Al-Rum, and in the same page that He speaks about marriage, at the beginning of the page Allah says, فَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ حِينَ تُمْسُونَ وَحِينَ تُصْبِحُونَ وَلَهُ الْحَمْدُ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَعَشِيًّا وَأَنْتُمْ تُظْهِرُونَ. Allah speaks about the 5 daily prayers, and that talks about marriage. What's the connection? The connection is as you worship Allah Azza wa Jal, in the 5 daily salawat, and you come closer to Him by offering salah, you also will be worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal as you are establishing the unit that's called the usra, the family. And as you are worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal in that context, you're also coming close to Allah. So it is ibadah. As a matter of fact, it's the only ibadah that starts in this life and continues to the hereafter. Our salah would be ending the minute we leave the dunya. Our actions of ibadah, of fasting, for instance, Hajj and Umrah, would not be possible after we die. Khalas, we die, this is it, it's finished, then we move on. The only ibadah that starts in this life but continues to the akhirah is marriage. Because Allah said in the Quran, هُمْ وَأَزْوَاجٌ فِي ظِلَالٍ عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ مُتَّكِئِينَ. Them and their spouses leaning on the couches of Jannah. And Allah Azza wa Jal said, to us, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَاتَّبَعَتْهُمْ ذُرِّيَّتُهُم بِإِحْسَانٍ أَلْحَقْنَا بِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَمَا أَلَتْنَاهُم مِّنْ عَمَلِهِم مِّن شَيْءٍ كُلُّ امْرِئٍ بِمَا كَسَبَ رَهِينٌ. Those who were the right path and their progeny follow their footsteps, they will be together in the hereafter. وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ يَدْخُلُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ بَابٍ سَلَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِمَا صَبَرْتُمْ فَنِعْمَ عُقْبَى الدَّارِ. So the concept of marriage in Islam is multidimensional for us. It is a source of second, number one. It's an integrational process into becoming, safely integrated into adulthood, and it is also, a way to help young people to safely become adults. It's also a social, integration. Naturally, we need to bond with someone and create a family. And there's also another important concept that we need to be aware of. That Allah said, وَمِن كُلِّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَا زَوْجَيْنِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ. From everything we created pairs. Now, naturally, we are incomplete by ourselves, and we need something to complete us. The only perfect entity is the mighty Allah Azza wa Jalla. Everything else beside Allah Azza wa Jalla is in need for something. That's why we're in need for a spouse, and we're in need for children, because at certain stage in our life we will have the energy and ability to take care of our children, and there will be time when our children will be taking care of us. So we are imperfect, entities. Allah created us in need for others around us. So this is one of the ways or the means for the usra or marriage to fulfill that need. But at the same time, as I said, this is a ibadah, a ritual that can help us not only to start a chapter in this dunya and continues with the akhirah, but also will help us to be able to create a sadaqah jariyah. The Prophet ﷺ told us that when we die, nothing will be a benefit for us except waladun salih, a good child, pray for him or her, and also a sadaqah jariyah. And both of these are applicable to the children we leave behind. We leave behind children who will be for us, children to make dua, but at the same time they are sadaqah jariyah, because all the actions and the deeds we teach them to do in the practice of Islam will be a sadaqah jariyah. When we teach our children to read the Fatiha, for instance, and then they practice it throughout their life, a CC will be coming to us. And also a CC will be coming to us from their own children when they teach them what we have taught them. And it goes on all the way until the end of life on earth. So you would see that this is a multidimensional unit and ibadah that Allah Azza wants us to be understanding and practicing in our life. And that's what I want people to start thinking about marriage, because most people practice this ibadah traditionally. I need to get married because my parents want me to get married. I need to get married because I need to have a relationship. No, it's not what it is. or I am forming a family because it's just a habit, the tradition that I form a family. Think about the beautiful meaning that you will be creating, and the outcomes you will be getting from creating a family. Think outside the box, don't be traditional. Even as Muslims, we're not expected to be traditional Muslims. We're not Muslims because our parents are Muslims. We're Muslims because we're fully convinced that Islam is the perfect deen for us. And the impact of Islam on our life would be also so powerful. And when we do that, we become true Muslims. The same is to be said about all the ibadat we do. Why do we fast? Because we have to fast. But did you ask yourself, why do you fast? I fast because I want to gain the salvation from the hellfire. I want to be purified. I want to come closer to Allah. I want to purify my spirituality. I want to be healthy. So there has to be a purpose. I go to Hajj. Why do I go to Hajj? There are meanings that we need to get out of the Hajj. There are meanings also for Salah. So we do not do our ibadat traditionally. We do it because there are things that we need to gain. This is called maqasid al-ibadat. We get something out of the ibadat that enhances our life. So as you can see, that Allah Azza wa Jal have demonstrated, and the Sunnahs of Rasulullah have demonstrated all these meanings to us in this beautiful relationship. The most important, concept, and this is again pre-marriage. This is primarily for young people who are not, married yet, and it's very challenging. Most of the time when I go across the masajid across the country, you will see young people coming to me and say like, I want to get married. It's not that I don't want to get married. I'm convinced, fully convinced, but how? How can I do it? It's challenging. Whether born Muslims in Canada or people who have migrated to here, the process is not that easy. It's very challenging because we're a small minority. The Muslim population across Canada is like 1 million plus. Then the million is also divided to subcategories from different cultural backgrounds. And also the notion we're living in a very massive country, that we're scattered all over the country, makes it very difficult for people to get to know each other. So the process of finding a spouse is very challenging, very difficult. And that will inshallah help make us talk about the ways to facilitate and integrate a new way that would help young people to get married in a safe way. But before we do that, let's talk about the conditions for one to be able to get married. Because many young people are influenced by the Western society. I go and see a girl, I like her, she like me, we date, we go outside, we talk, and offer some time. Okay, let's get married. No, there are conditions that needs to be met. The most important, of these conditions is the presence of wali. And that's why, again, when I said, when young people come to the masjid and say, oh, my dad is against my marriage because of X and Y and Z. Well, regardless of whatever logic your parents have in their mind, they have something that is logical for you, you're unable to see. Your experience in life is still not as rich as your parents are. Your parents know you from your day one. They brought you up since you were a baby. They know what's good for you. Of course, I agree. There might be some parents who are narrow-minded. There are some parents who are off. They're not just aware of the need for their children to be able to establish this relationship and to be involved in the process of the selection process. That's out of the question. But most of the time, from my observation, it's the other one. It's the first one that many young people are driven by their emotions, and they're most of the time taking decisions that are not rational, are not based on facts and solid principles. They just, because of the emotions. Emotions are not enough to create a relationship. Another important issue that I come across, which is many people nowadays don't talk a lot about it, the mahar. This is one of the conditions. Presence of minimum 2 witnesses. Many people come to me, can I have a drive-through marriage? They book me on my website and they say, can you please arrange for us witnesses? I'm like, brother, this is a beautiful relationship. This is something unique for the two of you. All family members should be present, involved, the friends, and celebrate it, announce it in public. It's not a hush-hush, it's not a drive-through. It's not what we see in this culture. Everything is fast. You need to plan for it. You need to do it the right way. And as I said, announcing this relationship in public is also important. If you were to, look into what's the dream image for, the boy or the girl in our community, the girls growing up, dreaming of a prince coming to them in a white horse. The same is to be said, for the boys. I want a princess who's, would make my life, happy. Now, in Islam, we know that the Prophet ﷺ told us, woman would be married for four things: لِمَالِهَا, for its wealth, for her wealth; لِحَسَبِهَا, the prestige, the heritage, the family, and her beauty, and for the deen. And the Prophet ﷺ, capture the deen, the woman of the deen. And on the other side, Allah will say, the Prophet ﷺ, إِذَا أَتَاكُمْ مَنْ تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَخُلُقَهُ فَزَوِّجُوهُ. If the person of the deen and the manners come to you, marry him, give him the chance to marry your daughter. Now, if you were to pay attention between the two hadiths, speaking about the boy and the girl, you will find the common factor is the deen. What's the deen? It's a very important concept also. Many people think the deen is for the boy to be dressed in a thawb and to have a long beard, or for the sisters to be wearing, a long hijab, or to be wearing a veil. That's not the deen. That's a practice of the deen. The deen is what we what we need to, dig deep and try to understand. When in traditional societies, when a boy wants to get married, the process would be the following: they would talk mainly to his mom. Mom, I want to get married. I'm ready. It's about the time. She would look around and say to his son, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 girls that I have seen growing up, and I know them. I know their families. If you want to be happy, marry one of these girls. And then eventually he goes to, meet the family of that girl, and then they would let him to see the girl, and eventually they give him the chance to talk to each other and all the details, and it goes on from there. Now, in the event that they want to go outside the city, outside the family, then the process will be that, the family of the boy go visit the family of the girl, and then they will say to them, we will let you know. The tradition will let you know. And then the investigation starts. The spy agency, starts working, and then they go around and ask about the boy. And the same is to be said, by the way, for the girl. The family would be investigating. They will find out, what's it like for this girl? What's it like for this boy? Who they would go for? They would go to the work. They would ask about him at work. How is his manners? They would ask the imam in the masjid. They would ask the neighbors. And that's what Umar al-Khattab, said when he was trying to explain the concept of giving a reference. You know a person if you is a neighbor to them, because neighbors know you inside out, because at all times, not nowadays. Nowadays we rarely know who our neighbors are. But in all times, the neighbor is like a family member. That's why the Prophet said, "Mazal Jibreel was seen in the jar hatta dhanantu annahu sayyiduhu." Jibreel would be encouraging me to take care of my neighbor until I thought that he would be, he would be included into the inheritance. And then, he said, someone you traveled with at all times, traveling is not like nowadays. It would take not weeks, months, travel from one location to another location. Imagine we go to a Hajj and Umrah nowadays, we travel between Mecca and Medina in 7 hours in the bus. At the all time, it would take days, traveling by camel or on foot. And traveling would expose the person inside out. And dealing with people with money, because money can expose people. There are people who, they're very nice, amazing. But when it comes to dealing with them with money, oh my gosh, they're horrible. They're like extremely horrible. So this is the way you get to know people. So investigation of both sides would start working to get to know, do they really have the deen? Do they have the manners, the akhlaq? So they're qualified to be husbands and wives. Are they capable of doing it, or it's just happened to be that it's a casual relationship, it's a blind date? That's not the case. What it is. So now, how to find the partner of the deen, the good character? Now that would make us, or prompt us to talk about an important, question, which is very common and would not be, surprising. It might be surprising to some of the audience here, but for young people, yeah, what's wrong with that? Now, should we go for arranged marriage or dating marriage? What do you guys think? Which is more successful?
Well, it depends. But normally arranged marriage.
Who says arranged marriage?
I said that.
Who says dating marriage? Oh, there you go, my younger brother, mashallah. Oh, well, to your surprise, when I was preparing, with some of the papers I was working on, I came across a study done by non-Muslims in which they indicate that arranged marriages are more stable on the long range than dating marriage. I remember one of the clients I had, they dated for quite some time, many years. And unfortunately, they were living the Western lifestyle of dating, going together and all the details. But when they decided to live together, they were contemplating a divorce after a short time. And when I asked why, like you guys dated for extended period of time, they said when we were dating, we were lovers. But when we signed the contract to live together, then when the rubber hit the road, and I'm quoting their own words for saying that, we found a different reality. We did not see the right person that we're able to establish life with. And that's the reality we need to be aware of. Dating marriage is based on emotions. And I remember even, I think Noman Khan was in one of the short clips circulating around in social media, was making a joke. You guys believe in love? You're stupid. There's nothing called love. I was like, oh. I mean, reality is, love is emotions. Emotions are elastic. You need something concrete, solid. You need to establish this relationship on principles, on facts, which cannot be done when young people who are full of hormones and energy and emotions are trying to do it by themselves. That's why the guidance from outside is pretty much needed. And this is going back again, to the concept of how we find the person of the deen. In reality, we do have 3 levels for the personality: the physical appearance for the person, the knowledge that the person has in mind, and the character, which is how much they apply from what they believe in. Most, as I said, like referring to the first image of the princess and princess, this is what people are, building their relationship on. They meet someone, they connect with the image because of a previous experience they had in their life. They grew up watching certain cartoon movies where they have interacted with certain individual in their family who is has a characteristic, a pleasant, manners, and they build this characteristic with that physical image. And in reality, that's not true, because the physical appearance only shows what's outside. You need to dive into what's inside. And we do have this concept a lot in our community, the knowledge. We do have many hafiz of the Quran, but unfortunately these hafiz are not acting the Quran. Because why? They did not get the chance to study the Quran. They were given the chance to write the Quran, and I'm fully with it, and I have, alhamdulillah, pushing my children even to do it, because it's a blessing from Allah. But I also tell them, don't only memorize the text of the Quran. You need to dive deep into presenting the Quran, because when Aisha was asked about the manner of the Prophet ﷺ, she said, "Kana khuluqul Quran." His manner was the Quran. So that's what we need to be mindful. And this is what's the 3rd level of personality. The 3rd level of personality is how much you apply of what you believe in your life. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ represented. Kana khuluqul Quran. His manner was the Quran. The Quran was in his heart, but also was action. Kana Quran yantiqu anil hawa. And the Sahaba were the same thing. They were Quran walking on earth. So now, in Islamic tradition, by the way, unlike the Western perspective, we do the matching not on the first level, not on the physical appearance. I want a pretty girl with the red eyes and the blue hair and and green ears. Yeah, that's what the perceptions are built as a result of watching the movies. Because of the Hollywood and Bollywood, the image for the children have become, unrealistic. Because that's what movies are all about. They present unrealistic images, and they build the images. Oh, the star, this characteristic, this, movie star, or this movie star presented certain image to them, and they associated that with their physical image. So anyone looks like that, actor or this actor, that image eventually click into their mind. So the characteristic or the matching in the Muslim community or the Islamic tradition starts from the third level. We go first look for this, that's why the Prophet said, اظفر بذات الدين, or تخير نطفكم فإن العرق دساس. Select carefully, the family which you choose for your children to marry, because the heritage is like plays a big role. That's why as I said, like at the beginning, a mom will be saying to her child, marry from this family. What's with the family? Family is known to be a very decent family. They uphold to their principles and beliefs, and we'll see inshallah down the road how the interaction between the husband and wife would be coming primarily from the childhood experience. And this is my personal observation. And I have written a few articles about that on my website to those who wish to get more information about this. So the process should be from the third level, not from the first level, and it goes down. So again, arranged marriages are more stable because they give you the chance to choose based on facts. Dating marriage most of the time, in general, we cannot generalize it, most of the time, is not as effective because it's based on emotions. Now, this like this is a beautiful image here, and you see like, this is back home when a person wants to be introduced to a family. This is what you will see. The two tribes or the two families will be coming, and one representative from the groom side will be addressing the bride side and say, we're here, all of us coming to ask for the hand of your daughter. So it's not only a matter between a boy and a girl, it's actually two families. So because anything goes wrong, the whole family will be involved, and the responsibility of taking care of the girl or taking care of the boy will be a huge responsibility. It's not just you can slack and run away with it. No, you will be liable. You will be held accountable because all these elders will be coming after you. You betrayed us. You ashamed us. So this is how the involvement of the families into this. And there's actually a beautiful verse in the Quran in which the Almighty says, وهو الذي مرج البحرين هذا عذب فرات وهذا ملح أجاج وجعل بينهما برزخا وحجرا محجورا وهو الذي خلق من الماء بشرا وجعله نسبا وصهرا وكان ربك قديرا. Now, he's the one who emerges the two buckets of water to create a new area. And that new area, حجرا محجورا, completely isolated from the two sides. But it also has the features of the two sides. And this is, after this ayah, Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks about the family, that He created man from water, and He created the two relationships, the kinship and the in-laws relationship. What's the connection? Allah is trying to tell us that the usra, the family, is created between the union of two individuals who are coming from two extended families. And that needs to be kept in mind. And this is, we will see down the road in the therapy process, between the couple after marriage. This reference is extremely important to explain to both sides that the wife cannot expect her husband to be completely hers, and the same is for the husband cannot expect his wife to be completely hers, because she's also attached to her family and he's attached to his family. And also they need to keep in mind that the children are also part of the inheritance of the two extended families. So you need to keep that flow of connectivity between the two sides, but with certain boundaries and limits that needs to be kept in mind. So now, to make things more, because of the time, most of the time, as I said, young people don't have families around them. They came here to study, they're by themselves, they came to work, they don't have any family members around them who's going to help them. Here comes the need to look into other avenues. Those apps that are available online are very critical and very, very dangerous at the same time, because they're one of the ways to help you be able to meet bachelors, but at the same time, they're not enough to help you see all the dimensions, because the profile picture you will see most of the time on those dating apps are either generated by AI, or they're like 30 or 50 years ago old, and they're not representing the reality. So here comes the need for two things. Number one, istishara, and istikhara. Istikhara would be consultation. Istikhara by praying to Allah Azza wa Jal. And this will be introducing to us an important concept that's still newly evolving in our community, which is pre-marriage counseling. Nowadays, I could see more young people getting to understand the value